הבאים לטקס פתיחת הקורוטריון והענקת תארי עמית כבוד. לכבוד אורחנו מחו"ל נקיים את הטקס באנגלית. Mr. Chairman, President of the Technion, members of the Boards of Governors, faculty, friends. Welcome to the opening of the annual meeting of the Boards of Governors and our Honorary Fellow Awards ceremony. We are also happy to host tonight the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Israel, Her Excellency Mrs. Gao Yangping, Mrs. Edith Cresson, the former Prime Minister, Mrs. Edith Cresson, the former Prime Minister of France, and an Honorary Fellow of the Technion, representatives of the Embassy of the People's Republic of China, and members of the Diplomatic Corps. My name is Alon Wolf. I'm an associate professor in the Technion's Faculty of Mechanical Engineering, and it is my great honor for me to be the Master of Ceremonies for this evening's event. We begin by welcoming the Technion's leadership to join us on the rostrum. The dignitaries will take their places as I call their names. Mr. Laurence Jacquier, Chairman of the Board of Governors. Professor Peretz Lavi, President of the Technion. And Mr. Dani Amin, Chairman of the Technion Council. It is my great privilege to introduce our distinguished honorary fellowship recipients. I ask them to please take their places on the stage as I call their names and remain standing until everyone has reached the stage. Mrs. Ruth Alon, Israel. Mr. Brent Dibner, United States of America. Mr. Lazarovits from Australia. We will now recognize the representatives of our Technion societies who are with us this evening. As you will see, sun never sets on the Technion. Work goes on 24/7 around the world. I ask the representatives to please stand up when your name is called and remain standing. From New South Wales, Australia, Dr. Ruth Ratner, and from Victoria, Australia, our fellow Ron Lazarovits. From Israel, Naama Tomarkin. From Greece, Dan Benardut. From Italy, Piero Abina. From Austria, Professor Peter Weinberger, who was unable to be here. From Sweden, Stefan Sturesson. From Germany, Thomas Schäper. From Switzerland, Edward Rosenstein. From France, and also representing Belgium, La Trechère Muriel Toiti. From the Netherlands, Kobe Kurtz. From the United Kingdom, Lois Peltz. From Brazil, Shaul Shashua. From Canada, Eddie Pal. And from the United States, Scott Leemaster. We are trying to expand our society's worldwide activities, particularly in other parts of the world, such as Central and South America. Please give them all a round of applause. You may sit. Thank you. We are honored to welcome the members of our Board of Governors and friends of the Technion from Israel and abroad. The individuals whom we are privileged to recognize this evening represents the highest level of dedication to the mission of the Technion. All have shown outstanding personal examples of volunteer leadership, whether this be expressed in support of our student, helping to enlist new faculty, supporting cutting-edge research, or ensuring that we have the finest facilities in which to teach and pursue our scientific work. Our honorees this year come from different parts of the globe, reflecting the Technion's position as one of the world's most respected research universities for science and technology. As a member of the Technion faculty, I would like to thank our honorees on behalf of all of my colleagues for their dedication, leadership, and support. Ladies and gentlemen, I now call upon the Chairman of the Board, Laurent Jacquier, to address us.
Thank you, Alon. Mr. President, members of the Board, distinguished guests, including Her Excellency Gao Yanping, Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to the State of Israel, we are so proud and honored to have you with us. Erev Tov, Bruchim Habayim. Good evening, welcome to all. It is indeed a pleasure to see so many of you here this evening as we express appreciation to our worldwide Technion societies, salute Technion technology, and confer our honorary fellowships and celebrate the festive opening of the Board of Governors. And indeed, we have a lot to celebrate. But before we get to that point, I'd like to start my remarks with an analogy. Albeit somewhat trite, it is sadly, nevertheless, true. If Israel were to be compared, if the state of Israel were to be compared to a house, one might describe it as the best, most beautiful house in a very bad neighborhood. One might easily expect such a house to fall into disrepair over time, its exterior image to become dowdy, and its windows to the outside world to become obscure, just like those that surround it. One would also be prepared to accept the fact that those living in the house would cease to have much care for what was going on in the outside world, concentrating only on their survival. We would also understand if none of those inhabitants stood out as a beacon to society and the world. Psychologists and social workers might study the house to understand the impact of its surroundings on the environment and its residences. Continuing the analogy for a moment, thus Israel could easily have become devoid of beauty, spirit, motivation, and innovation. But as we all know, that is not the case. When you're faced with the kinds of difficulties that the people of Israel face every day, there are typically two choices that are made. You either curse the darkness or you light a flame? Well, there's no question that perhaps contrary to all expectations, Israel never curses the darkness. It always lights the flame. The state of Israel has not fallen into disrepair. It has not become dowdy, and its windows to the outside world are clear and unobstructed. It cares for the world in which it finds itself in ways which are remarkable. Its citizens are open and vibrant, and one cannot help but feel the ever-dynamic state in which Israelis live. The people of Israel light the candle. They embrace the notion of becoming lights unto the nations, or Lagoyim. Of course, we all feel, and I think it could be demonstrated, that the most shining light in the Israeli constellation is our Technion, where achievements are supported, accolades are received, and for the benefit of the world, the windows are constantly being cleaned, allowing technology, science, and medicine to be available for the benefit of all humankind, to be challenged, developed, and promoted. Tonight, we will salute Technion technology. Technology that is so good, it is presented to presidents, prime ministers, not to mention the Pope. Technology that has an impact on the world for good, and technology that will lead the world. And one day, I hope that those who look through our windows and decide to boycott us or destroy us if they can, will see the true nature of what we are, a leading light from whom so much can be gained through mutual cooperation and respect. Now, some of you may feel that I'm a cockeyed optimist, and maybe I am. But thankfully, I found a lot of other cockeyed optimists along with me. Those who look through our windows constantly and become our supporters throughout the world. They are led by our Technion societies, the leaders of which were just introduced to you. And I wish to express to them, the leaders as well as all members of our Technion societies, our utmost appreciation of what they do and what they achieve. Their work provides the Technion with the resources to achieve the ultimate, and through that, to ensure that Israel maintains its standing and hope. And then there are the individuals who also look through the windows of our house and provide their individual support. Individuals upon whom we confer tonight the title Honorary Fellow. Each recognize in their own way how critical and important it is for the Technion to continue to grow and expand its importance for Israel and the world. There is a Talmudic saying that people should run from honors because if they are worthy of the honor will catch them. Ruth, Brent, Ron, tonight we are so grateful that you slowed down long enough for the honor to catch up to you. I congratulate each of you on behalf of everyone here and all of those who know of your contributions to the benefit of this great institution. You are all and each deserving of the title Honorary Fellow, and alongside our saluting Technion's accomplishments, we salute you as well. In addition to our focus on our honorary fellows this evening, those of you who have attended these festive openings of the board for some years know that we have been entertained by some of the best Israeli entertainers in the country. Tonight will be no exception, as we are entertained in-house, so to speak, because as well as producing some of the most incredible research, technology, and scientific advancements, the Technion has also great talents amongst its students and staff. They symbolize, in so many ways, the essence of this country. Work hard, play hard, and be joyful. Through music and song, they express hope for the future in a country where hope, Hatikva, is of course its national anthem. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, this morning I referred in the opening plenary to the theme of this year's Board of Governors. It is Technion 101, One Up. And I believe that it bears repeating here tonight, as it conveys how we feel and to what we aspire, as does the theme for each year's board meeting. We have yet to know what the future brings. So let us suffice with being one up, which is way better than one down. The Technion is never down, and that is because of all of you. Clearly, our house is sturdy. We continue to solidify our foundation while expanding our reach. Kol hakavod to all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jacquier. Before I invite Professor Peretz Lavi, President of the Technion, to address us, we will see a short clip called Technion Innovation for a Better World.
Professor Alon Wolf's research in his biorobotics and biomechanics lab models the genius of nature. This snake robot can bring us to life-saving locations, such as the narrow arteries of the body or the perilous depths of disaster sites.
Here at the Biorobotics and Biomechanics Lab, we created a robotic environment where you can play a game for your rehabilitation. We record how you're moving and we adapt the game to your individual needs so that the game changes as you improve. I think that Technion is a really great place to do research because there's a focus on making research that's useful, that'll actually provide benefit to the world.
Rework enables a person that is completely paralyzed waist down and completely confined to wheelchair to walk. It shifts a person from a wheelchair user status to a crutch user status. One more thing about developing the device, everything actually was based on the basic education that I got from the Technion, which is priceless.
Founded by Technion graduates, Insight Tech delivers the operating room of the future, non-invasive surgery and treatment with focused ultrasound.
The technology allows us to treat almost any tumor inside the body. We are treating central nervous system diseases like Parkinson, like essential tremor. We'll definitely look as a next step on brain tumors.
Technion professors Musa Yudim and John Finberg partnered together with Teva Pharmaceuticals to create Azilect, an advanced medicine to slow the progression of Parkinson's disease, providing relief to millions of patients around the world. In award-winning Technion professor Moshe Shoham's laboratory, researchers discovered a way to combine advanced image processing with pioneering miniature robots. Renaissance, the integrated system, is now used in surgery worldwide. Since Technion scientist Professor Joseph Itzkovitz Eldor co-authored the 1998 paper unveiling the infinite possibilities of stem cell technology. Technion scientists have become leaders in stem cell research.
With the sheer speed of stem cell science and technology, I do think that in the future we will be able to use stem cells for the treatment of many diseases, from cancer and Parkinson's disease to heart failure.
Engineers Without Borders at the Technion is a volunteer engineering group. We've worked in the Negev Desert here in Israel, in Bedouin communities. We've done some wonderful work in Nepal where we've developed a biogas reactor. The idea is that our students, together with faculty, develop appropriate engineering and sustainable engineering solutions to problems that we have assessed in developing communities.
Professors do believe that there is a petroleum offshore of Israel. We established the only program in Israel that prepares the engineer to work. Literally, how to work on a rig. Israel can be independent energetically, which is a national task.
For over 100 years, Technion, Israel Institute of Technology, is the place whose people, innovative research, ideas, and inventions make immeasurable contributions to mankind, enhancing the world now and securing your future.
Technion touches the soul and the body of people around the world. And to use Larry Jakir analogy, the technologies are developed in the cellar, in the attic, in the bedroom, in the living room, in the hall, every room of the house. Distinguished honorary fellows, Mr. Larry Jakir, chairman of the board, and his wife Eleanor, Danny Amin, chairman of the council, the Honorable Ambassador of the People's Republic of China, Madame Gao Yangping, members of the International Board of Governors, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends, welcome. It is a great pleasure to open the 2014 Annual Board of Governors meeting with our friends around the world. This year, members have come from 14 countries. Although most of you follow the activities of the Technion throughout the year, once a year, we reunite here at the Technion, evaluate previous achievements, and charting the future directions of our esteemed institute. I'd like to extend a special welcome to Madame Gao Yangping, the Distinguished Ambassador of the People's Republic of China, who honors us tonight with her presence. As you heard in my address to the board this morning, the Technion is strengthening its relationship with China for the mutual benefit of our countries. Yeah, you can. In the opening Board of Governors event, it is our tradition to honor outstanding individuals whose contribution and support of the Technion especially stand out. This year, our 3 honorary fellows come from 3 corners of the world, from down under in Australia, United States, and Israel. Each of them is unselfishly given of their time and energy to support the Technion. For such deep involvement, it makes them truly dedicated members of what I like to call the Technion family. Ron Lazarovits is Mr. Technion in Melbourne, Australia. After visiting Melbourne last summer, I can say without any hesitation that almost single-handedly, Ron carries the Technion Melbourne chapter on his shoulders with the dedicated help of his wife Sharon, and transformed it into a vibrant group within the Australian Jewish community. Spending with him several days down under, it was clear that Ron not only spread Technion's good name around the Jewish community, but also among the excellent academic institutes in Australia, also speaking out against the outrageous academic boycott on Israel.
From the United States, Brent Dibner and his wife Relly are both third and second generation Technion contributors and avid supporters. Relly is a native of Haifa. Her father was the late Rahmani Moni Wolfson, a lawyer and a former Board of Governors and Israeli Technion Society member. Brent served as a vice president of the American Technion Society New England region and is a veteran Board of Governors member. His father was the late David Dibner, a distinguished philanthropist, an American civic leader, and Technion guardian, made honorary fellow 12 years ago in 2001. Mr. David Dibner established the Bernd Dibner Library in the Technion's William Davidson Faculty of Industrial Engineering and Management in memory of his father and Brent's grandfather, Bernd Dibner. He was also a loyal supporter of the Technion and had a passion for the history of science and the history of technology. Brent has been an indispensable member of his community and throughout his life has been a great supporter of the Technion and Israel. It is truly heartwarming to trace generational commitment that evolved into deep-seated family tradition of support. Our third honorary fellow is Ruth Alon from Israel, that I affectionately call Ruthie, daughter of Uzziah Galil, who needs no further introduction, a former Technion graduate and one of the legendary founders of the Israeli high-tech industry, who is serving the Technion for many years in a variety of capacities, including the chairman of the board. Ruthie, who is also a Technion graduate, has followed in her father's great footsteps. She has served for 9 years as member of the Technion Council, on the Academic Development Committee, and on the Board of Governors. Her exemplary career and efforts at the Technion have had profound effect, particularly on the advancement of women in the Technion. I don't believe we could have found finer role model than Ron, Brent, and Ruthie. You have become an integral part of the Technion family in its pursuit for academic and social innovation and advancement. Thank you for your energy, determination, and long-standing support. Thank you. And tonight, we also pay tribute to the Technion technology that has helped position Technion at the forefront of the national arena, national and international arena. Before Pope Benedict visited Israel, Israeli President Mr. Shimon Peres turned to the Technion to prepare a special gift that would demonstrate Israel's technological prowess, as only the Technion can. This gift was a complete punctuated Hebrew version of the Old Testament, chiseled onto a gold silicon chip we termed the Nano Bible. The idea was conceived by Professor Uri Sivan, one of the Technion's leading nanotechnology experts and a former director of the Russell Berry Nanotechnology Institute, and developed at the Focused Ion Beam Laboratory in the Technion's Wolfson Microelectronic Research and Teaching Center. The pin-sized Bible captured worldwide attention and will be exhibited in the Shrine of the Book in Jerusalem. It is therefore not surprising that Israel's Prime Minister, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, asked Technion to prepare a similarly impressive gift for President Obama on his visit to Israel, along with a demonstration of Technion's technological innovations whose impact extend far beyond borders of Israel. The gift was the Nano Declaration. The technologies showcased included a human-like waiter robot developed by high school students under the guidance of Technion researchers Professor Igor Werner and Dan Cooper. Yarin Frankel, Omer Shoham, and Omer Zamir, young scientists marked for greatness. Technion alumni Dr. Amit Gopher, inventor of the Rewalk exoskeleton by Argo Medical Technologies, gave the president a demonstration of his amazing bionic walking assistance system, letting paraplegics stand, walk, climb stairs, and even complete the marathon. Truly revolutionary. And my colleague and your MC for the evening, Professor Alon Wolf, was the third presenter from the Technion who had added honor of also presenting Technion's gift to the president, which I'll let him tell you firsthand. Tonight, the Technion family salutes Technion innovation that never ceases to astonish. And this year, we have had scores of accomplishments in all of our academic fields that make us so proud. On behalf of the Technion, I would like to express our deep felt appreciation and admiration to the men and women whose generous support and ceaseless activities ensure the onward and upward advancements of Technion innovation for the betterment of our institute, Israel, and humankind. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Lavie. I share the President's excitement about Technion's past and future. This year has been especially memorable for me, having been given the great honor of meeting President Obama on his official visit to Israel last March, just before Passover. For me, this was much more than just a passing encounter. I had the rare opportunity to be part of a delegation selected by the Prime Minister's office to participate in a special exhibit called Israeli Technology for a Better World, which was presented to the American president at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. This was an idea initiated by Prime Minister Netanyahu, who wanted to highlight the deep connection between Israel and the United States and demonstrate Israeli ingenuity in building of a better tomorrow. During Obama's visit to Israel, he was presented with the gift prepared by Technion that President Lavie mentioned earlier. It was named Nano Declaration, a gold-coated silicon chip inscribed with the American and Israeli Declaration of Independence, the English words alongside the Hebrew. The text was written using a focused ion beam at Technion's FIB laboratory and manufactured by the same group from the Russell Berry Nanotechnology Institute that produced the Nano Bible, mentioned also earlier. The gift symbolizes Israel's evolutions from its past to today's modern nation and our shared social values. It also represents the potential for a future filled with dynamic scientific and technological cooperation between the United States and Israel in areas ranging from nano research to clean technologies and advance in health-related fields and computer science. I was honored that my robotic projects, a flexible snake-like device that can be used in urban search and rescue fields operations to save lives, and a miniaturized, highly flexible medical snake robot that is being used in the operating room to perform complex, minimally invasive surgeries never done before, were among the innovative Technion projects chosen by the committee at the Prime Minister's office to be exhibited at this event. Some wrote that President Obama was dazzled by the project he saw. I can attest that this is not an exaggeration. The President was very attentive and asked many questions about the projects, even insisted on taking a picture with each of the presenters. The President also has this unique, I think, gift to give you right away a warm, fuzzy feeling. The first thing I wanted to think about is how should I address the President when he approached me? And I didn't have to do that. He did it himself, very naturally. Even when I demonstrated the snake and the snake did the cobra stand, and he laughed and said, I think that my wife, Michelle, wouldn't like snakes. He did this with a lot of charm. And I took a note to myself not to send Michelle Obama a gift next to her next birthday, a snake robot. So really, it was a fabulous experience for myself and my colleagues here. I share this exciting experience I share this exciting experience with fellow Technion colleagues who are here with us tonight. Please rise. Professor Igor Werner, Dan Cooperman, and Haifa High School student Yarin Frenkel, Omer Shushan, and Omer Zamir, who will hopefully be Technion students in the future in mechanical engineering. Let's give them all again a round of applause. You really have the Technion spark of ingenuity. I'm thankful to all of you Technion supporters who have helped make possible these great things that come out of the Technion. I have the honor to invite Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Israel, Her Excellency Mrs. Gao Yangping, to address the audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, Shalom, Ahiv Tov. Let me begin by thanking you, Mr. President Lavey, for your kind invitation. I'm honored and pleased to visit Technion again and to attend the festive opening of the Board of Governors and awarding of honorary fellowships. I would like to take this opportunity to express my warm greetings and best wishes to all board members and friends present here tonight. I would also like to extend my deep congratulations to the recipients who will be awarded honorary fellowships tonight. As the cradle of the Israel's entrepreneurship, Technion is renowned for its long history, unique way of teaching, and excellence in academic pursuit. I would like to say that if the time could go back, I would like to be a student in Technion. Unfortunately, my major is law instead of engineering. Over the past decades, we have seen a good number of outstanding figures from Technion, including 3 Nobel Prize laureates. I sincerely hope that Technion will foster more talents as well as good engineers and contribute further to the economic and social development of Israel and the cause of human progress. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, thanks to the reform and opening up policies, China has made remarkable achievements. Education is the cornerstone for national development and social progress. China's education supports Chinese dream, and in return, Chinese dream drives China's education to development. My government is determined to meet the people's demand for quality education. This will open up for more opportunities I've seen before for China's education. Israel, a startup nation, is one of the major stakeholders in this regard. And of course, the people from 14 countries attended today's event also have such kind of good opportunities. Dear friends, please imagine if a lot of Chinese students go to the state of Israel for study, in particular in Technion, I would ask myself and the president of the university, how many students do you like to have? Like I told you just now that even the young people who attended the entrance examination this year is more than 9 million people. Your prime minister, the Israeli prime minister, Netanyahu, paid an official visit to China recently, which is very successful and fruitful. I was with his delegation for 5 days in China, and I believe he has been convinced completely that the cooperation between China and Israel, between China and the world, will be huge. In case of China-Israel educational exchanges and cooperation, the two governments have both strength and intelligence. I'm well convinced that so long as we make continuous efforts together, we will surely unlock our potential and bring the brighter future for China-Israel educational cooperation. By doing so, I believe we can bring more mutual understanding, more mutual respects, as well as more trade, more investment, more job opportunities, and more tangible benefits for the people in the world. Toda Rabba, thank you for your attention.
Fichang Ganche, thank you very much. I call upon Dani Amin, Chairman of the Technion Council, to read the scroll that will be presented to the awardees in English and in Hebrew.
Erev Tov, good evening. With your permission, I'll start in Hebrew. נפלה בחלקי הזכות להקריא את ההחלטה הפורמלית. עכשיו אמרו לי שאם אני טועה, כל הטקס מתחיל מההתחלה. ותכף תראו, יהיה לא קל לא לטעות, אני אנסה. הטכניון, מכון טכנולוגי לישראל, הוועד המנהל של הטכניון, מכון טכנולוגי לישראל, בתוקף הסמכויות המוענקות לו, על ידי חוקת המוסד והקורטוריון, ובהתאם להחלטתו, ביום י' בשבט, שנת 5773, שהוא היום ה-21 בחודש ינואר 2013, מעניק בזאת לרות אלון, ברנט דיבנר ורון לזרוביץ' את התואר עמית כבוד של הטכניון. ניתן בחיפה, באלף בתמוז, שנת 5773, שהוא היום ה-9 בחודש יוני. שנת 2013, בשנת ה-66 למדינת ישראל. על החתום, פרופסור פרץ לוי, נשיא הטכניון, לורנס ג'קיר, יושב ראש הקורטוריון, דני ימין, יושב ראש הוועד המנהל. Technion, Israel Institute of Technology, by virtue of authority vested in it by the Board of Governors and the Constitution of the Technion, and pursuant to the decision and its meeting on the 10th day of Shvat, 5773, the 21st day of January, 2013, the Council of the Technion hereby confers upon Ruth Alon, Brent Dibner, Ronald Lazarovits, the degree of Honorary Fellow of the Technion, given in Haifa on the first day of Tammuz, 5773, the 9th day of June 2013, in the 66th year of the independence of the State of Israel. Signed by Professor Peretz Lavi, Lawrence Jakir, Chairman of the Board of Governors, and Dani, Chairman of the Council. Thank you. Mazal tov.
Thank you, Mr. Yamin. I will now say a few words about each of our distinguished recipients. Full biographies in Hebrew and English can be found in your program as I complete my words about each recipient. Each one will approach the podium to receive his or her scroll from the president. The recipient will then be asked to respond. Would Miss Ruth Alon please rise? Ruth Alon, a Technion graduate with a degree in computer science and industrial engineering and management, is a pioneer in the internet service industry. She continues the work of her father, Uzziah Galil, also a Technion graduate and supporter, in driving the development of Israeli industry. In 1994, she founded the internet service provider NetVision, which is now a leading company in the Israeli communication sector. Ms. Alon has made significant contribution to the Technion by serving on its council, academic development committee, and board of governors. She has been active in promoting the status of women at the Technion, and her efforts have helped increase the proportion of women students. She also serves as a member of the Haifa City Council and on the board of the Haifa Economic Corporation and Haifa Tourism, demonstrating her vision and commitment to the development of the Israeli society, industry, and cultural life. Please approach the podium, and I also ask Professor Lavi to please join us to present the scroll. In tribute to your pioneering role as a woman in computer science, in recognition of your founding the first internet service provider in Israel, which has revolutionized communication systems, and in gratitude for your dedication and contributions to the Technion.
For me to come up with a 3-minute speech, because that's usually the time it takes me to calm my nerves down and relax and start talking. So I decided I better have some paper here that will help me. A few months ago, I was invited to participate in a full-day seminar organized by the Technion to discuss the Technion brand and market positioning. At a group discussion towards the end of the day, we were asked, what is the first thing that comes to mind when thinking about the Technion? Unfortunately, I was at the end of the table, and by the time it was my turn to speak, more than half the attendees had said the same thing that had popped into my mind: home. So I had to think of something else to say. But that first thought stayed with me and came back when preparing for this little speech tonight. Yes, I did grow up with the Technion at home, with the Reali from my mom, the Technion from my dad, from almost the day I was born. My sister Daniela and I did not even know that there could be any other option but to study at the Technion. When interviewed for my first job in the Silicon Valley, my future boss read my resume and said, Technion, that's the Israeli MIT, isn't it? I was really surprised back then, that was 1980, that he even heard about the Technion. Today, I'm sure nobody would be surprised. It would be taken for granted. To me, it means a lot that almost 35 years after graduating, through changing of continents, jobs, interests, the Technion remains home. I've always been proud to be associated with this excellent institution, and I believe what you have just said. I'm very glad to have contributed to something in its success. That's if I believe you. Because someone told me that the main difference between the type of event, this type of event, and a funeral is that here there's at least one person who believes what's being said. So right now, I guess it's me, and I choose to believe. So, thank you very much, Chairman of the Board of Governors, Larry Jakir, and the board, President of the Technion. I don't have a nickname for you. For me, you're just parrots. Chairman of the Council, and all these distinguished guests. Of course, I want to thank the committee for bestowing this honor on me, and make this make-believe night. And of course, last, my family, my dear family and close friends, some of which I met here in the Technion 35 years ago. Thank you for being here tonight with me, especially Eyal, that came all the way from England. And thanks, I don't know who are the people that made it possible for my other son, Alon, to watch this live from California. Thank you for sharing this very special moment with me. Good night.
Thank you, Mrs. Alon. Mr. Brent Dibner, please rise. A third-generation Technion supporter, Brent Dibner is president and founder of Dibner Maritime Associates, LLC, whose clients includes many of the world's largest integrated oil companies, leading independent ships owner, shipyards, and financial institutes that serve marine transportation industries. Mr. Dibner is a trustee and officer of several educational, historical, and philanthropic institutions and funds, and serves as the chairman of the Dibner Institute for History of Science and Technology at MIT. Together with his wife, Reli, daughter of former member of the Technion Board of Governors, Rahmani Momi Wolfson, and a native of Haifa, Mr. Dibner has supported the Technion Rambam Functional Brain Imaging Facility, the endowed doctoral fellowship in memory of Rahmani Momi Wolfson, and the emergency fund for Technion students in military service. Mr. Dibner served as vice president of the ATS New England region and is a member of the Technion Board of Governors. He is a 1995 graduate of the Hamaagal Leadership Development Program and a member of the 21st Century Leadership Development Program class of 2008. The Dibners have chaired the region's annual event, and they are also active in other Israeli-based organizations. Please approach the podium. I also ask Professor Lavi to please join us again to present the scroll. In admiration for your inspiring achievements in your career, in your community, and in your philanthropy, with gratitude for your exemplary support of the Technion and your commitment to Israel's welfare. Mr. Dibner, you're invited to respond.
Thank you, and good evening to all. Chairman of the Council, Mr. Jacquier, Peretz, all new and unknown, but with Peretz, a dear friend, thank you so much. Thank all of you for coming. 60 years ago, almost exactly, my grandfather was elected to the Board of Governors and stood on these barely built upon slopes, which now carry the results of 6 decades of development. At that time, the Technion was struggling to build its Carmel campus, and Israel was in desperate need of civil, mechanical, and electrical engineers to build a nation. I was not even 2 years old, and as a child, the significance of Israel was difficult for me to understand, and the purpose of the Technion was even more difficult to grasp. Until appointed at age 57 to the Board of Governors, my grandfather himself had been preoccupied with all of the unexpected transitions of his life, from a poor immigrant child in the Ukraine to an American citizen, to electrical engineer, to inventor, business creator, self-enlisted officer for the duration of World War II. He was, at that time, almost 60 by the time he was impelled to support the Technion in a significant way. My grandfather understood how transformative and essential the privilege of education in science and engineering was for him, his family, his adopted nation, and the state of Israel. Having seen the aftermath of the Holocaust at war's end as an officer in the Strategic Bomber Command, and having witnessed the miraculous creation of the state of Israel, which he, like many, felt was one of the greatest events of the 20th century, he understood the essential role of the Technion. He recognized that the Technion would touch every aspect of Israel's survival, growth, and development, and that the people of the book's deep talents for learning and applying knowledge for humanity would benefit all mankind. And my father continued in his footsteps, and I have the privilege of following his. 40 years ago, as a 21-year-old American engineer, I first came to Israel for what was to be a few months between undergraduate education and graduate school. Young, inexperienced, and untested, I found myself the only diplomed naval architect and marine engineer at Maspanot Israel, the Israel shipyards in Haifa Bay. I was the only one who had the time to actually practice the discipline. I had the privilege of working with immigrant and Sabra engineers and draftsmen to create Israeli designs for ships for war and peace that were truly Israeli in their origins and not from other countries. And in doing so, I relied upon Technion engineers and researchers before my time, after and before the Yom Kippur War, who exemplified the brilliance for me and the role of the Technion. And then I finally came to understand what the Technion really did. Today, I doubt that my youthful limitations would be so impactful or so tolerated. I even doubt that I would be invited or necessary today. And I am happy to say this because it confirms the depth, breadth, and brilliance of Israel's current cadre of scientists and engineers. My experience resolved whatever childhood and teenage limitations I couldn't grasp about Israel, about Israel's technology's role for Israel, and about the Technion. My grandfather's request that I be given the chance to work in Israel changed my life and my understanding. And I hope that for every member of the diaspora who's here, the role of parents and grandparents in connecting their children and grandchildren, and hopefully in time great-grandchildren, to Israel is one of the most helpful things they can do for those children and for this great institution and for Israel. We, the supporters of the diaspora, must ensure that the next generation understands this importance and the Technion's centrality. I am very grateful for this honor and this fellowship, and I am particularly grateful to my wife that I met in Haifa walking up the Carmel Mountain, my mother-in-law who's here, and I love my mother-in-law. And although I'm very much an American kid, I feel like a Haifaite and a Technioner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dibner. You mentioned in your speech how you met your wife. Let me tell you about the influence that your family had on me. I met my wife in the library that your family helped to support. My wife, Dr. Naama Wolf. So, something in common. Thank you. Mr. Ronald Lazarovits, please rise. Ronald Lazarovits, son of Holocaust survivors Lazar and Edith Lazarovits, was born in Adelaide, South Australia, and has lived in Melbourne since 1974. A mathematician by training, Mr. Lazarovits has degrees from the University of Adelaide and Oxford. His business activities have included directing a transport company, founding a software business, and working in the property and backpacker accommodation businesses. He is now a board member and investor in various companies in Australia, the USA, and Israel. As president of the Technion Society of Australia, Victoria, Mr. Lazarovits has helped transform it into a vibrant group that plays an important part in the Australian Jewish community. He and his wife, Dr. Sharon Lazarovits, who has been an integral part of his efforts to promote the Technion in Australia, have 3 sons. Please approach the podium. I also ask Professor Lavi to please join us. In gratitude for your tireless and fruitful activities on behalf of the Technion in Israel and in Australia, in recognition of your leadership role in the Australian Technion Society, and in appreciation of your contribution to Israel's security and survival through your supports of the Technion.
President Lavi, Chairman of the Council, Chairman of the Board of Governors, Lawrence Jakir, distinguished guests, friends, Erev Tov, Shalom L'Kulam. I'm very honored to be standing here in this company, and I want to congratulate my fellow recipients. It's a great honor for me, for my wife, my children. My parents were born in small towns in Eastern Europe. I am constantly amazed at the number of quite remarkable people who I have met who have come from this little corner of the world. I have met an amazing assortment of people from the village of my parents, and their achievements have also been quite remarkable and in many fields. Well, the Technion has become my village, my family, like President Lavi says. It has all the friendliness, familiarity and warmth, the struggle of personalities, but at the same time the common purpose that we're all involved in. And just as I would on the Corso of my village, I bumped into my dear cousin Freddie Brookstein here at the Technion. We did not even know each other until then. I have met and continue to meet many remarkable people who have become my friends and who inspire me here at the Technion. And just like the people from my parents' village, I'm constantly amazed and frankly in awe
of the quality of the people I meet at the Technion. Those of you who know me know that I don't do all that well. And yet I'm amazed at the sheer scale of the ambition, the breadth of the work being done here in this little university tucked away in this war-torn corner of the world. This is quite remarkable. We have leaders here in every field. The breadth and scale of the work done here for the benefit of Israel and the world just takes your breath away. Stephen Hawking boycotted us, but the components of the device that allows him to hear and speak came ultimately from here. And that is why we're all involved. Big things are done incrementally, we know that, but you have to have a vision. You still need imagination. Voltaire said that there was far more imagination in the head of Archimedes than in that of Homer. Well, the Technion is a place in which Archimedes would feel very comfortable. You need to dare to do things and go places, and this is what I find so remarkable year after year. Australia, my country, I love it, is not exactly the centre of gravity of the Jewish world. In fact, we are about as far from the centre as you can get. But at the end of the world, Eckwelt in Yiddish, there is a society of people that cares about the Technion and what it has done for all of us. And Australia will be a great partner for collaborative research in the future. I could not let an opportunity like this pass without thanking my committee, our supporters, the Melbourne Jewish community, and above all, my biggest supporters, my dear wife Sharon, and my boys. We hope we'll do some more good in the years to come. I want to thank the Technion for this award and the recognition it gives to our Australian Technion Society. I only found out today who nominated me, and I'm honoured. It's valued and appreciated. Award from your very own village does not come by every day. Toda rabah.